So now that you've seen how the project info sheet works, this video is going to go over some of the behind the scenes and customization that you can do. So first off, section 2, you can set startup items so that anytime you hit clear, these items will automatically be added to section 2. And so to do that, you want to scroll all the way over in the project info. So, all this red, once you get to red, all this stuff is kind of what the code needs and behind the scenes stuff. So, the last section is startup items and startup sort. And so, here's where you would list the items that you want to start in section 2 on a clear. And so, if you have a couple items that are on like every single project, you'd add them here. Like what's there now is typically those items that go in incidentals that don't appear anywhere else in the plane but the general summary sheet itself. I also added the ability to set where to sort that item. So, I mentioned in the previous video, the 3-digit item code has a default sort, so it'll default to a certain heading. Well, 614, the default sort is not incidentals, but for this item, that's where it should go. So I put the heading abbreviation for incidentals, and so you'll see they're all listed here. So, I put in I because that is the default sort for incidentals, and you can see all those heading abbreviations here. So, that's how to customize, I guess, the startup items. Then another big thing that maybe your office would want to customize is the custom sort list itself. So that would be this section right here. So the first column is the default sort. So this is not the custom sort. This is used to set up the custom sort. So in this default sort, every heading is listed. And then if a 3-digit item code should default sort to that heading, it's listed underneath it. So for roadway, you'll see all these 3-digit item codes. All these 3-digit item codes default sort to roadway, and they would move on and so forth. So erosion control all these items. So if it doesn't have an item code, that means no 3-digit items will default to that heading. So if offices wanted to customize something, the custom sort, they would, change this column here to say, I wanted it to sort this item code to sort. So you can insert, a cell where you need it and add the 3-digit item code. What you want to make sure you don't do is, put the same 3-digit item code in 2 different headings. You're basically saying take this 3-digit item code and default it sort to 2 different places, which it can't do. If you do that, it will default to the first one it finds in the column. I do want to mention at the bottom there is this no default heading. So this is a list of 3-digit item codes that don't exist anywhere else in the default sort. The next column is 3-digit item list. So this is a list of every single 3-digit item code that is in the item master. The next column is the actual custom sort that's used to sort all the items. So the way it's set up is every heading is listed, and then under every heading is every single 3-digit item code, but in front of it is the heading abbreviation. So you'll see for roadway, there's an R in front of all of them. That's similar to, if you remember the video showing how to move an item to a certain heading, you just added its the desired heading abbreviation to the front of the 3-digit item code, which would match the items listed in this custom sort, and that's how it knows to move that item to a given heading. You also notice that some items don't have that heading abbreviation in front of it. This is what's used to know to default sort a given 3-digit item to a certain heading. So if you listed the 3-digit number under roadway, then under the custom sort under roadway, you would see those item numbers. So this repeats for every single heading. So this gets very long, and that would be very hard to update. So that's why there is this update custom sort button. And so I'll go over that in a minute, but I'm going to go over these last 3 columns. So repeats, this lists the 3-digit item codes that is known to default, or known to sort to multiple headings. So even though you set a default to roadway for 202, there are several items known in item code 202 to go to different headings. And so, if you remember from the ProjectInfo video, this section, there were some red highlighted cells if it was known to be in multiple headings. That's figuring out what to show red based off of what you have in this repeats column. Add it and delete it is more for, knowledge, so you can see what 3-digit item codes were added and what 3-digit item codes were deleted. So, you would basically edit this column and this column only. Everything else this button will do for you. So, when you hit this button, it will look at your item master data that's in this Excel file, which is this sheet right here. It will go through and it will remake this 3-digit item code list to make sure it's up to date, and then if there was any changes, it puts it over here so you see what 3-digit item codes changed. It will then look at this default sort list, and if there was a 3-digit item code added and it's not in this default sort, it adds it to that bottom last one where it says no default heading. So that way at least all of the headings or all the 3-digit item codes will be listed at that point. But you can still make your edits here as needed. It won't change that back or anything like that. So then the code basically takes what you have here, and generates this custom sort for you. So nothing's going to change when I do this, but I'll hit that. And so that's what it just did. Everything I just said is what it did. So it makes it very easy to update a custom sort list. So those are 2 customizations you have. Now, the third customization is basically so you don't lose your customization. So obviously you're gonna probably do these changes, and then I'm gonna release an update and you're gonna have to redo it, which you don't want to do. So that's what these 2 buttons are for right here. There's create/update custom site list, and then there's a custom site update button. So the way this works is, here I have 2 files open. So say this file on the left is your office's existing customized GenSum template, and this one on the right is a GenSum version that I just released. So this has updates on it that your current template file doesn't, and you want those updates. So first you would come to your existing office template and hit this create update custom site sheet button. What that just did was it created, if it wasn't already there, this custom site tab, and it put all that data that you can customize. So your startup items, and then all that custom sort stuff is now there. So I would save it, and then you would come over to the new template, and you would hit this custom site button, custom site update button. So what this that comes up, it says move worksheets into new version of GenSum. You're going to want to hit yes. If you hit no, it just closes it out. So you would hit yes, and now since the GenSum file is so large and it takes a while to open, I gave this little feature right here. It says move sheets from Excel files already open. So I already have them open, so I'm going to hit yes. But if you hit no, then you can navigate and select a file that you want. What this also gives you the ability to do is, I mentioned in the previous video that you can I mentioned in the previous video that you can put your sub-summary sheets inside the general summary file and use them that way. Well, if you do that, you obviously want to have those in the new version as well. So that will, you also have the ability to move those sheets at the same time as well. So I'm going to hit yes. So now it's going to say which files did you want to move sheets from. And so there's only one, so I'll select that one, but you could select more. And I'll hit process. And now it comes up with all the available sheets that I have in that file to move. So there's only one, site custom. But if you had your sub-summary sheets in here, they would be listed here, and you could select those, and then you can move them all over. So I'm gonna hit move, and so now it's gonna move that sheet over to the new template. And if I had selected anything else, it would move that over. And it's also going to update this section with whatever you had from your previous this version, as well as update this. So that's that's how you would keep your customization, so you don't have to redo your work, as well as get all your sub-summary sheets if you opt to go that way. And what I'm talking about is here where you can say it's in file. See my previous video for details on that. But that's all what I have for customization right now and behind the scenes stuff. So that, if you're maintaining this, you have a little better idea what's going on. I might have future videos with future customizations. If you guys have suggestions, I will appreciate them and see if I can add them. So let me know if you guys have any questions on this stuff.